There are a lot of familiar sights and sounds during the holiday season in the Dalles. Children practicing their carols, homes and stores lit up, and also there's that sound of the jingling, the Salvation Army bell ringers, trying to get you to put a little loose change into their bucket. Well, as we found out on CGN 7, this familiar sound goes along with another sound in town, and you wouldn't necessarily put two and two together. The sound of fire engines leaving the station. That means someone's in trouble and needs help. But for a few nights in early December in the Dalles, that's not why the sirens are blaring. Someone's in trouble, that's true, but there's no smoke, no fire. Someone's in trouble, maybe even your neighbor, and you might not even know it. These fire trucks are going out in the community to collect canned food for those in need. The event is called Everybody Loves a Firefighter, or Project ELF. So this event got started in 1986, and was it a success right off the start?
It was a very good success right off the start, as a matter of fact. We ended up collecting about 21,000 units of food that year, and so the public was very involved and they were very receptive to the idea. At that point, it made it a very hard goal to maintain and beat.
But they were able to maintain Project ELF and its amazing canned food collection numbers, thanks in large part to volunteer firefighter Bob Mazzrillo. Is this a few more trucks than you'd have for the average fire?
I would say this is a lot more trucks than we have for the average fire. Seeing as I was out on one at 6:30 this morning.
So you're pulling together a lot of resources from all over the place to make this happen.
Dallasport comes over and helps us, and then we also put our older engine into use, and we also put we keep one engine in reserve for emergency use. So yeah, we're using everything we have. It
obviously is a lot more trucks than you'd have for the average fire, but they're after a lot more cans than the average food drive. The first Tuesday night every December, they go door to door on the east side of the Dalles, the second night the west side, and on the final night they canvass Dallasport. With that many trucks and that much territory, it takes a lot of hands to make light work. Bob organizes volunteers from schools, church organizations, and service clubs.
The kids are great. I can't say enough for them. They're really good. They get community service hours for doing this. They're the backbone of this whole operation. Although Chief Palmer and myself and the other firefighters that are here who drive and do all the radio communications, the kids are the absolute backbone. They do all the ground pounding, and that's the key to getting all the food.
The youth volunteers do the legwork for Project ELF, and when the trucks are full of food later in the evening, another large group of community volunteers takes over. This year they were located inside the warehouse at Meadows Outdoor Advertising, where they spend hours sorting and counting the food donations. People are generous to a fault with Project ELF, proving everybody really does love a firefighter. Over the course of 3 nights, all these empty boxes are going to be full of canned goods. And that's where the sound of sirens ties in with the sound of bell ringers. Each year, the cans of food donated to Project ELF go directly to both the Salvation Army and St. Vincent de Paul. We took a look at the empty pantry shelves at the Salvation Army. Captain Paul Chenard said he's seen the need for food go up substantially, 30% in 2008 over 2007, and another 10 to 15% this year.
And usually the top up here is full with back stock that can be brought down. And usually we'd have a lot of cereal up here. We don't have any cereal except for a box or 2 down here. So it's low. Like I said, this is the lowest it's been in the 5 years that I've been here. And the ELF night will really help a lot. It'll fill this up and give us again food for December and also in the next year.
The Salvation Army has been serving the needs of the Dalles since 1889, a mere 10 years after the organization was started in San Francisco. Salvation Army has an interesting history.
And the officer, like myself, wanted to provide food for low-income families. So he put out a big black cauldron, a big black pot on, I think it's Pier 39 in San Francisco, and people would drop money in it. And since that time, it's spread all over the United States, and it's into some other countries in the world as well.
Captain Chenard says anyone can drop off non-perishable items at the Salvation Army downtown in the Dalles on 3rd Street. At the holiday season, items like frozen turkeys, cranberries, and instant mashed potatoes are also needed. Requests for the holiday food are up 25% this year, gauged by an early sign-up campaign. Families are also seeking unwrapped toys for their children. Here's another way you can contribute to the Salvation Army and the children that are looking for toys. All over town there's about a dozen of these trees of giving, and they have tags on them. You simply find one you like, whether it's for a little boy or a little girl. It tells how old they are and what kind of presents they're looking for, and then you simply return your present by December 16th. Salvation Army bell ringers also contribute greatly to the food drive. Usually community residents in the Dalles give over $20,000. So between the sounds of the bells and the fire and rescue sirens on the elf nights, there's a whole lot of goodwill happening in the Dalles during the holiday season. Fire Chief Bob Palmer and volunteer firefighter Bob Mazzarillo weren't going to let our crew tape the event until they got in one more last word.
I think Bob and I want to say together that we really want to thank the community for their support in all this, and whether they come into the station and help us collect food or whether they give, either way, we couldn't do this without the support of the community. So we want to thank them very much for doing this.
Yes, it is the support of the community. This community has been one of the best to work with. They are so giving.
And that's not all the giving going on in the Dalles. When we come back on this holiday edition of Making a Difference, we'll visit an event that lights up even more lives.